What if your home lowered your bills, charged your car, and helped protect the planet without lifting a finger? Every City Ventures home is built with solar, smart thermostats, EV charging readiness, and Energy Star appliances all included standard. It's eco-friendly living without the compromise. Intelligent, integrated, included. Discover California's leader in sustainable new home construction at cityventures.com. That's cityventures.com.
Hello, welcome to the Secret Passage podcast. I am your host, Dana Vespoli. With me is my awesome co-host, Shannon Rogers.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we are back with another case that has been, making headlines. But before we get into that, into the case of Christopher Scholtes, the 38-year-old father from just outside of Tucson, Arizona, charged with child abuse and second-degree murder for the hot car death of his 2-year-old daughter, Parker Scholtes. That is what we're discussing today. But before we get into that, Shannon, let's talk about these secret passages we wandered down this past week. How about you?
So this week my secret passage was I finally went to our cousin Hayden. He has a comedy night that he co-produces with some comedian friends, and it's in Oakland. So people who live in the Bay Area, if you want to go, it's called Critical Hit Comedy Night, and it's at It's Your Move Games store in Temescal. And it was so fun. Like, so good. The comedians were great. So when we were leaving, my friend Jenny was like, Shannon, are you going to do that ever? I'm like, what? She's like, she's like, do you think you want to try stand-up comedy? I'm all, me? And she's like, you're like one of the top 5 funniest people I've ever met. And I was like, whoa. I was like, just with you, like with certain people I'm funny and with other people I'm not. But I feel like my sense of humor has totally atrophied. Like as I've gotten older, I've gotten less fun and funny. Maybe it's being a therapist. Like I'm in like serious mode. But I was thinking about jokes, so I wanted to tell a joke today. Okay. You've probably heard this one before. I'm going to make it short. Where do all the watermelons go in the summertime?
Where?
John Cougar's melon camp.
That is so silly. And that is honestly the only people that will understand that joke are people our age.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. So yeah, I'll spare you the other one. Maybe I'll tell jokes like occasionally on the podcast. Do you do this? Have you ever done this one where you walk into the room and you're like, God, it smells like matter babies in here?
Matter babies?
Yeah.
Oh, what's a matter baby?
Nothing. What's the matter with you? Then there's the other one where you're like, oh, it smells like up dog in here.
What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
my dude does those all the time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he does it to be like kind of ironically like trying to throw out like essentially dad jokes or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But then he gets stuck. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I do it too. Like I'll say things to be funny and then it sticks and then now I'm just saying it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'll say something like so Jay has these amazing obliques. He's almost 60 and he's ripped, right? Mm-hmm. So he'll walk around without a shirt on and I'll say something like damn, you've got such amazing obliques, and he'll say, yeah, we'll get used to it. But now he just says it all the time, right? Or, I'll say things like, oh heavens, or, to be funny. So I'm not saying, oh, fuck, and now I say it like when I'm by myself.
I love that. I want to bring back that instead of cursing. Yes.
I'm so terrible though still.
I know. I love the F word. I love the F word so much. I overuse it though. Like I'd be like to draw back and just use it for like when it really is warranted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just
It'd
feels
have a lot more
warranted all the
punch.
time. Yeah.
That's true. It does feel warranted all the time. Fuck.
Oh, fuck.
So, how was your secret passage? What was your secret passage?
Oh, man. What was my secret passage? Let's see. Did anything exciting happen? I have been, for some reason, I can't believe it took me this long, but I started watching Grey's Anatomy for some reason.
I used to love that show.
It's,
Do you like it?
yes.
I know. I only watched one season.
Yeah, it's a little, I'm on season 2. It's the show that, like, I can fall asleep watching,
Mm-hmm.
like completely miss an episode that I slept through, and then the next day just start wherever it left off, and I don't need to get caught up because it's, it's just the same shit. I'm like, oh, Izzy must have been dating the dude. Looks like they broke up now. Okay. I don't need to know what happened. I've
Mm-hmm.
already got a sense of what happened. So, yeah, pretty silly, but it's fun. It's a good, like, not paying attention while it's on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. I suppose we should get into this episode.
Another bright spot in everyone's week.
Yes, but it is definitely been
It's
in the
worth talking
headlines.
about.
It's absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
any time something like this happens, especially as long as children keep dying in hot cars, or anybody keeps dying in hot cars, we got to talk about it. So, little background on the case for those of you who don't know or who need a refresher. Last year, July 9th, 2024, in, let me pull up the name of the exact town. It's basically Tucson. It's just
Oh,
outside of
Marana,
Tucson.
I think.
Marana, yeah. In Marana, Arizona, a little girl, 2 years old, named Parker Scholtes, was left to die an excruciating death in a parked car in the driveway of her home. She was in the care of her father, Christopher Scholtes, 38 years old, who was basically a stay-at-home dad. And his wife, Erica Scholtes, is still, I believe, an anesthesiologist. Last reported associated with Banner Health. So the wife was the breadwinner, and the dad was, for all intents and purposes, a stay-at-home dad, tasked with taking care of Parker, the 2-year-old, and then they also have 2 other daughters, 9 and 5, I believe. But this day, Christopher Scholtes was at home, putzing around the house. The other 2 daughters had spent the day at a water park with some friends, and they were dropped off. They came running in the house, got themselves busy playing. And Christopher was drinking, watching TV, playing video games, and scrolling through porn.
And watching The Office, I heard.
And also watching The Office. So
And I was like, it's probably the American version.
probably. So, yeah. The wife came home at 4 when her shift was done, Erica. And Erica came in, asked where Parker was. This is the part that's really interesting, is the father was like, I don't know. She's got to be around here somewhere. So they go looking. Erica finds Parker dead, unresponsive, I should say, in the back seat of the car. She starts performing CPR. Christopher calls 911, and Parker's pronounced dead at the hospital. And an autopsy revealed that she had died of heat stroke, heat exhaustion.
Yeah, heat, whatever that's
Yeah.
called. Hyperthermia, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Her internal body temperature reached, it was like past 109 degrees, I believe. Yeah. The air conditioning was on. It was the mechanism of the car, as I understand it, was that if there's no movement after about 25 minutes, the car will just shut off. So she was left in there for 3 hours. So for 3 hours, He had no idea where the 2-year-old was. Didn't seem concerned, obviously. He just was doing his thing. Prior to that, so when I initially heard about this case, I thought it was just another example of this, which is the fact that I can say just another example of someone not realizing that there is a baby in the car. And usually these things happen when a parent or caregiver, when there's a shift in their schedule, a shift in their routine. So for example, a mother saying, hey, can you please drop Junior off at daycare? I have to get into the office extra early. And then the father says, sure. And then the father drives to work because that's what he's usually doing, leaves the
Ugh,
child in the car, comes
it's
out,
horrifying.
the child has passed. So
Mhm.
those types of things, which are grotesque but legitimately accidents.
Mhm.
Initially, I thought, oh, he must not have known there was a baby in the car. And then as the information comes out, it's honestly just far more, sinister. And then as the more details came out, so that day, Christopher puts Parker in her car seat and then drives around and goes to two different convenience stores where he leaves her in the car, goes inside, and the CCTV footage showed him getting 3 beers, going into the restroom, coming out with 1 beer, and leaving without paying.
So he was just chugging, and then also
Drinking.
stealing. Like, what
Yes,
is that all
stealing.
about? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that adds a layer.
so bizarre.
I
Just
mean,
driving around and drinking in the store, not paying for it, leaving his daughter in the car each time. It's still it's Arizona, dude. It's
you can't leave
fucking hot.
anything. I would not
No,
leave my purse in the car because it would melt all my lipsticks. It would, like, you just don't leave anything in the car.
exactly.
Oh God, yeah.
Then comes home. Apparently, the reason why he didn't pull into the garage is because there was a Peloton in the way. So he just left the car in the driveway and then went inside and promptly forgot. It seems like knew she was there and then just forgot she was there. It
And
seems.
then when they came home, everybody came home and realized she was gone. It didn't even jog his memory about the earlier moment when he left her in the car. It's so weird. He like didn't jog his memory. The wife had to find her.
Yeah,
So you could tell. I mean, he was not functioning. He was not firing on all or on all cylinders. Yeah.
right. So let's get into a little bit of background. I wanted to try and understand as much as I could about both he and his wife, Erica. So, oh yeah, the car's internal temperature reached a deadly 108.9 degrees Fahrenheit by the time emergency responders arrived. I can't even.
I think it was higher than that, right? She was 108. The car was like 130 or something.
Had to have been, yeah. So I'll say this before we get into his background. Scholtes was initially indicted on charges of first-degree murder and child abuse, and then he accepted a plea deal of second-degree murder and child abuse. And I'll just say this: Christopher Scholtes killed himself on November 5th before he was supposed to turn himself in. So he spent a little over a year just out.
Going to Hawaii.
He went to Hawaii, didn't have an ankle monitor on, didn't have anything. He was allowed to just go about his life until he was supposed to turn himself in. I think it's interesting that he chose to wait until he was supposed to turn himself in to kill himself rather than after realizing that he was responsible for the death of his daughter. Just interesting
Right.
choice there.
Right. It wasn't about grief. It was about like, where am I headed?
Right. And this isn't me just advocating for like, yeah, just, do yourself in. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that if that is the road you're going to choose to take, it seems as though In that entire year, he had to sit and think about what he had done. It wasn't until he was supposed to go to jail, probably afraid to be in, general population and what happens to people who kill kids when they're in prison. He's just a fucking coward. So, oh yeah, so shortly before his sentencing set for November 21st. Yes. Yeah, that was shortly after he finalized the plea deal. So, it's just interesting. So there's not a lot of information about Christopher Scholtes, about him as a person, or about Erica. But I can tell you this: I looked things up. He had a troubled history, as we know. He had a problem. He clearly had a problem with addiction. He had a problem with cocaine, and then now a problem with alcohol. Shortly after this tragedy with Parker, his older daughter filed a lawsuit against her dad. This was the older child from a previous relationship, 17 years old.
Yeah, and then she included Erica in it too.
Right. She accused him and Erica of child abuse and child neglect. And it's interesting because a lot of what she accused her father of, neighbors and witnesses essentially corroborate her story with things that he was doing with the daughters with Erica. Like leaving children unattended to wander the streets. We're talking little kids wandering the streets late at night without any adult supervision. So his eldest daughter claimed that had happened. He was given primary custody or sole custody of her. I'm not clear on what was going on with the mother.
Yeah, like when he didn't meet her until she was 5. And then he got custody of her all of a sudden, like when she was a teen, like a younger teen, right? Like it was during COVID, I think he had custody of her. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with her mother at the time, but
her mother has since passed.
Yeah, that's a pretty extreme ruling, so it must have been something like her mom wasn't able to care for her. I don't know. Or unless he had money and resources and just went after her in the courts and won because she didn't. That can happen too.
Yeah, there's really no information right now as to how and why that decision was made. However, after her allegations of abuse and a pretty long history with CPS with regard to the father, she was allowed to go back to her mother until her mother passed. And then now she lives with a friend of the family who is fully supporting her, fully on board with this lawsuit. But she said what happened with Parker was tragic but not surprising, which is another quote from another witness, a neighbor, about how the outcome with Parker, that it was inevitable this was going to happen. So tragic but not surprising.
It's too bad she didn't sue him before because it might have prevented this. Like if she had sued him years ago or something, he might have had to shape up in terms of his behavior with the kids. Although I don't know how much of an impact it would have had, but at least it would have been public and there would have been something, that where he might have to check his behaviors with his current kids, like so maybe CPS would have gotten involved. Who knows? Anyway, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right. Well, and then it also seems as though she really didn't want to have to do this, but she's so angry about what happened with Parker that drove her to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right. That might have been the impetus. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So for herself, she didn't feel so super motivated to do it. But once it happened to Parker, she felt like it maybe a sense of responsibility to do it even for the other kids. I don't know.
Right.
Well, he's going to jail anyway, but
He was, but then so here's that's the background on Christopher Scholtes and Erica. And there's nothing really specific to Erica in terms of abuse. I would say that like for Erica, it was more of a neglect thing. She just was never around, like for her own biological children, let alone a stepchild. It seems as though the neighbors said they never saw Erica at all. So she just was not around, and Christopher was around and tasked with one fucking job that he couldn't do. So I looked up some stuff on him and just found like an employment history.
Mm.
So nothing about him as a friend, him as anything else. All I could find was some background history with his work. And so he had a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. He went to Arizona State, graduated in 2015. He worked as an EMT. He also went to Maricopa Community Colleges, Paradise Valley Community College in Phoenix. So he got some it sounds like some work training.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like he went to school to learn how to be an EMT.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of work, he was a bartender at Dirt Bags in Tucson, Arizona. Aptly named. He worked there from January 2017 to February 2020. He was a collections supervisor for Discover Financial from 2007 to 2012. A preload supervisor at UPS from '07 to '12 also. And so he just sort of like bounced around in terms of work.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow married a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know how they met.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what his previous relationship was like with the older daughter's mother.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know if he had friends.
It's so hard with all these cases we talk about. We just don't have a lot of context about a person's life. Yeah, so it's hard to really understand their evolution and like how what they were doing in their current life and what they did that was the crime, like how that all came to be. It's hard, but they're both attractive. I mean, he's pretty attractive with certain pictures in the past
Yeah,
before he got
he's not ugly, and
yeah.
she's not either.
Yeah, and so I can see them, he was an EMT, so he's working in the medical field.
Or
So that
training to be an EMT. I'm not clear
mhm,
on
mhm.
my research. It says EMT, but it's not listed under employment. It's listed under education. So I'm led
Oh,
to believe that he was training to
okay.
be an EMT and then perhaps opted to be a bartender instead, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
got trained, but there was no I'm not clear on if he ever actually worked as an EMT or not. But also Bachelor of Science in biology. There's some, science background,
Yeah.
but it is hard to come to any kind of conclusion about him as a person.
Mhm.
I'm inclined to believe that he legitimately forgot his daughter was in the car.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he wanted his daughter to die. It just seems like the thing we know is he was chugging beers, and she had asked him a bunch of times about his drinking, and had texted him and that, and wanted him to quit, and it was a problem. And he admitted it was a problem. He said,
Right.
"I'm an addict." I was thinking about this. I have some notes. Let me pull them up. I was like thinking about alcohol and parenting because it's such a profound disruption in terms of like the empathy system. Alcohol is so. So it really does disrupt a parent's ability to empathize and respond to their children's needs. And
Yes.
that affects the whole family system. It affects kids and their attachment. So there is like a reduced empathy and emotional processing when people drink. The prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, they're like kind of critical for reading emotional cues and like responding empathically. And chronic alcohol use results in blunted emotional activity reactivity. So makes parents less attuned to the subtle needs of their kids, like a child's anxiety, they're crying, the fact that they're in the back seat and it's like 120 degrees outside. So like studies on substance dependent mothers, and we can apply that to fathers, show decreased neural activation when processing child distress, so resulting in disengaged or insensitive reactions, impaired decision making, obviously, and harsher parenting. So, like harsher discipline, less monitoring. So, you can see how, like, substance use. This is the weird thing, too, though. Like, what a massive cultural blind spot we have around alcohol, right?
Yes.
alcohol is like more destructive than a lot of drugs that are illegal in terms of the cost, public health cost and personal costs. But if they had said like, oh, he was in the house smoking crack, like he would be in jail.
Mhm.
He wouldn't have been able to go to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? So the whole thing is just very skewed in terms of alcohol and alcohol use. Like even her perception of and reaction to the potential dangers about his drinking and caring for the kids, right? Because it's so normalized in our culture. Like my friends and I talk about this a lot. Like, my dad used to drive around with a beer. It was like a thing. So anyway, I just think that's a massive part of this too, is that like his treatment afterward, it affects his treatment afterward by the justice system, but also the reaction, like her response to it, like I can feel her falling prey to that normalization. It wasn't, she didn't kind of respond to it as though it were a four alarm fire that he was drinking and driving with the kids. And,
Yeah.
mhm. And it is a four alarm fire. He's driving like 138 miles or something on the
He
road.
was driving 138 miles an hour.
Hmm.
Yes, and the text was her admonishing him
Hmm.
and him saying his response was, "You hate me." No, first I think it was she was asleep, like something to the effect of she was asleep, relax. And the mother's like, even so, like you were driving 138 miles per hour, you've been drinking, and then he's like, "You hate me." Just like that weird childish.
Oh, somebody call the ambulance.
Yeah, it's like but also that she was asleep, relax. And again, it's
Ugh,
like no one died. I think that's essentially what hey, no one died. Well,
it's so
guess what
narcissistic.
happened? Yes.
I mean, it's because it's like it's not about her, it's about him. It's about you don't
Right.
like me. And then the other thing he said about like I'm such a bad dad or whatever. It's like it's not about
Yeah, you
you.
are.
Yeah, exactly. And we all have that. Like Tim and I have this ongoing thing I told you about where I get so mad at him because he leaves the back door open for the dog. And I know no I live in like a very busy kind of commercial residential area, and there are high fences all around, and I don't think someone could get into my backyard and come in our house. But with all the true crime we listen to and watch, like it worries me. I don't like the doors being unlocked or open. And he just always blows it off like it's no big deal. And finally he's starting to keep it shut. But that kind of like risk tolerance thing where some people, I'm pretty risk averse in certain ways like that. It's like you can see his risk taking behaviors, right? He doesn't mind, he doesn't see how he invalidates her when she asks him to behave within certain parameters, to take care of their children. He's like a child.
There's it's interesting because there's this resentment.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think it's worth mentioning that when the police investigated and took control of the devices and looked everything up, the kind of porn that Christopher Scholtes was looking up was cuck porn, was like wives cucking husbands. So, husbands being degraded, humiliated, forced to watch as the wife is having sex with another man. It's a whole thing. Very, very popular in porn. But Christopher Scholtes was watching cuck porn.
Yeah, and what does that mean to you? What do you think the profile of that or
Well, I think that it's worth noting that he is a man who has had a lot of different jobs and now is a stay-at-home father and husband, and
mm,
his wife is a successful anesthesiologist.
mhm,
It
mhm,
it's you don't make it through med school and become an anesthesiologist because you're not successful, you know.
mhm, mhm.
So she is the one making all the money. That means that he has an allowance, I'm assuming. She's making the money, and if he's going to get money, it's because of like she has to give him either an allowance or he has access to the accounts, but
Now
it's
I know
she's
why he
making
stole. I think he stole because he didn't want to see her to see he was buying beer, I bet.
probably.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because she's going to look at stuff, and maybe she does. Like if he's doing that, she's keeping an eye. That's the thing too. I'd love to know the dynamic in their relationship. He fucks up, she points it out. And so the cucking, some part of him, as a way of coping, perhaps, is sexualizing the context of their relationship. I have no idea if they actually engaged in that kind of thing personally. I
Mm-hmm.
doubt it. Regardless,
Mm-hmm.
it points to him being aware that there is a power imbalance, and perhaps he feels emasculated. And so
Mm-hmm.
also things like drinking when he's not supposed to is a way of acting out. Driving 138 miles per hour is a way of acting out.
Against mommy. Like, he's like a teenager acting out against his parent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just not fit to be a dad. I mean, he's simply just not fit to be a dad, and then is tasked with doing what is traditionally a woman's job. And I know it's 2025. A lot of people are very progressive, whatever. There are husbands that take care of the kids and do a damn good job. But it's a thing where for him, with his behavior and his acting out, it seems as though he might feel emasculated. And just the cuck porn is it's just interesting. It's very specific,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So tell me, like, it's specific, like I've always been curious about this. So people might watch cuck porn because they might secretly get off on, but resent.
Humiliation.
Yeah, but also resent being dominated, right? Like,
Mhm.
get off on, but also maybe resent it. I don't know, because it seems like he resented it because he sort of flout every time she would try to set a limit with him, he would just blow through it, and
Right.
sneak around and
Which is his way of exerting some kind of power. He's trying to
mhm,
assert some power in
mhm,
whatever way he can, right?
mhm, mhm,
And so, yeah, as a former dominatrix, whenever
mhm,
I would have subs that had humiliation fantasies, it was usually things like they wanted to be cucked. They
mhm.
wanted to be told that they are not virile enough or not tough enough or not sexy enough or not successful enough, all of that, and that they have to watch their partner, having sex with somebody who's more stronger, more successful, just better. And
Wow.
it's a humiliation fetish. Another very
Mm.
popular porn trend is cheating.
Mhm.
Is like caught cheating.
Mm.
So a lot of humiliation.
So interesting. I wonder if it's like, okay, we're gonna talk more about this next episode because we're gonna be talking about some like sadism in some ways. But
Sure.
like, there is a dopamine release when we punish people. So
Right.
there's because evolution wise, to keep the pack together, we used it as a way to enforce source social norms or justice, right? And so you do get a dopamine hit from administering punishment. So I'm thinking about what the other piece, the other side of it, which is humiliation or something. Like, so I wonder if there's like a dopamine reaction to that, or if it's just more like meaning, like what it means to them to be humiliated. And somehow that is connected to sexual gratification. What do you think about all that?
So I think that the sexual gratification for
Mhm.
him, of course, this is me just speculating.
Mhm.
It's a way of coping. It's
Mm.
it's a way of accepting the circumstances. Is the sexual release of it. It's
Mhm.
almost like the I want this,
Ah,
right?
yeah,
So that could be a thing. Accepting it because yeah, as a way of coping.
that's interesting.
It's aroused by being cucked.
Okay, because I think the other part of the punishment thing is, or aggression. Like, so if you're doing aggressive things sexually, if you're someone who anger has been punished in you, and you go and you have a sexual relationship with someone you trust and you act aggressively, and they accept you and love you, this is a whole new relationship to aggression that you're getting to have, and to yourself in relationship to aggression and in relationship to others, and it can be very transformative and positive. So I wonder if that's what is that kind of what you're saying, like there's this humiliation aspect that's already happening and it feels like shameful and bad, and then if you can be humiliated sexually
If you can have sexual pleasure come about from the humiliation,
Okay.
then you can accept it.
Okay.
So he's constantly cucked in so cucked is also like a slang expression that the kids are using today, where it's like, oh man, she's cucking him, or you're such a cuck, or he's a cuck, and it's usually something that's humiliating or emasculating to a
It'd be
guy,
like a
right? That's happening.
pussy from our era.
Yes, and so in terms of lifestyle, that's the life he's living, knowing that
Mhm.
his wife is going off and doing this job, and who knows what their dynamic is like at home. But that I'm sorry, but no matter what, if you are relying on your partner for your survival, you kind of have to there is a power imbalance there. I mean, for him, because he has no income. His if anything, he's just spending money, and then he's having to steal alcohol because he's not allowed to drink, and he knows he's not. So he's got probably a lot of shame going on, a lot of shame and a lot of humiliation just about the fact that he is an addict. I have no idea if his wife is, but so as a way of coping, he goes and he's watching this porn where it's playing out very in an exaggerated, overt way, which
Mhm.
is, you stupid, you can't turn me on, you're a loser, look at this guy, he's successful. I have no idea if that's what
Mhm,
was
mhm.
happening in the scene, but he's seeing it and he's jacking off to it, or
Yeah,
if he's
yeah, yeah.
jacking off to it, he's getting off on seeing it. It's
Yes.
reinforcing this thing. But if he can get off to it, then it's okay.
Yeah, that's his relationship with himself, it sounds like, like, he's doing that to himself all the time, I
Right.
think, because he says it in his text. Right, that's really makes sense. So, like, you mentioned the Peloton.
Right.
So, in terms of the symbolism, when you were thinking of the Peloton, so you've got this guy, he's at home, cuck porn, feels like a cuck,
Right.
has nursing an addiction, feeling probably very out of control and ashamed,
Right.
and pulls up and sees the Peloton. What do you think? What did
So I thought that was that the Peloton, in the way, it was kind of a metaphor for that whole family, the dynamic in that family. Again, this is all speculation
Mhm.
because we don't have a ton of information to work on. The reason why he couldn't park in the garage is because there was a Peloton in the way. And so he chose to park in the driveway and leave his daughter in the car. I, I'm under the impression that his plan was to come out and get her eventually, like to come out and get her within the length of time that
Mhm.
he could, and
Mhm.
then promptly forgot because he was already drunk at that point, right?
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because they have this. The Peloton to me is just such a symbol of, like, they will buy a Peloton. They will live in a fancy house. They will drive these expensive fancy cars, but they won't pay for childcare. They won't pay
Yeah.
for childcare. They won't do it. I see it all the time. I know I was talking to you about this before. Just I see this in the boys all went to this elementary school that was in a very expensive area,
Mhm.
right adjacent, right up against Hidden Hills. So you had a lot of rich kids going to school
Mhm.
there, a lot of very, very wealthy families. And I would see this a lot, where there would be families that would spend a fortune on stuff, on
Mhm.
vacations, on fancy clothes, on cosmetic surgery,
Mhm.
but they just refuse to pay a living wage to a caregiver. And
Yeah.
so they would just these kids a lot of times were neglected, just either with subpar childcare, or no childcare at all, or a parent that is clearly inept. And in this case, I don't know why Erica, it never occurred to her, when it was evident that her husband was dealing with all kinds of addiction and she was choosing to stay. I mean, she's a doctor. She's a fucking doctor. Saying, "Hey, you got to quit being an alcoholic," is not going to work.
It to me, it reveals so much about that our programming around alcohol. It just doesn't occur to people how dangerous it is. And then you have, like, the classic dynamics of, like, enabler and person with a substance use disorder. Okay, let me tell you my thing. I was so happy that you mentioned the Peloton, because what the Peloton meant to me when I saw it was like, wow, like that whole thing you get caught in when you have an addiction, or if you've talked to somebody who has had an addiction, which I think we pretty much all have an addiction to the phone and stuff, but maybe some of us don't. My dad has a flip phone. I'm so jealous. But anyway, so I heard the Peloton and I was like, oh my God, it reminded me of that aspirational kind of thing that it's like the Groundhog's Day situation with addiction, where you wake up the next day and you're like, I'm going to change. I'm going to get on that Peloton. I'm going to ride it. I'm going to, like, it just to me was like, it's just out of reach. Like this future that he had imagined for himself, where he would be fit and like
that. If funny you should say that. I don't mean to
Mhm.
interrupt, but
Mhm.
when the wife was pointing out to him about like the drinking and all
Mhm.
that and leaving the girls in the cars, like you got to quit doing that. You got to quit. And he goes, I know what I need to do is get addicted to something else. Like when I used to be addicted to running.
Yes.
And so it's like, yeah, because with the Peloton, I wasn't sure who that was for, if it was for both of them, if it was for her. But it'd be interesting that
Yeah.
there's the Peloton, it's in the way. So he's just going to,
He put his, I mean, it's really the thing that's so sad about addiction. It's awful. I was telling you about how I love Laura McCowan. She wrote We Are the Luckiest. That's her memoir about getting sober. And she also has this book called Push Off From Here. And I love her. She's a great writer and she's just so relatable. And she had this part deep in her addiction where she did this thing that she was so ashamed of. She had been at a hotel and I think it was a conference or something. She had her daughter with her and her daughter was young. I think maybe like 3 or 4 or something. And she got really drunk and she left her daughter in the hotel room overnight alone to go like sleep with someone. And she was so ashamed of this. I mean, think about how many ways that could have gone wrong. And that
yeah,
happens all the time when and that's the part to me that is so tragic about this case. Like when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be a normal, like, oh, dad forgot. But then
right.
when I found out about the alcohol, I thought, oh my God, it's like that thing with addiction where it becomes the most important thing above everything else. And with addiction, it's interesting that she's an anesthesiologist because you think about like anesthetizing.
Putting people to sleep. Yeah.
And so how we're all kind of asleep about alcohol, I think, in this culture. Not all of us. People are waking up now and the younger generations are kind of not indulging. I'm not anti-alcohol, by the way. I love booze, but maybe a little too much. No, but I try, it's a balance. But anyway, so like if you think about how we know what's important to us, right? Like a lot of times the way we know when something's important to us is being able to feel pain, because we don't feel pain about things we don't care about. We mostly feel anxiety and pain about things that matter to us. And so when you're drinking, you really do lose touch with what's important. Not only like, on the like immediate moment, like what's important is watching my kids, not
Right.
alcohol, but like longer term, what's important to me. Like it makes sense to me that he wasn't able to settle into a career or change any of these behaviors, because he wasn't able to really contact. If he was drinking as much as it seems like he was not able to contact and stay connected to what's important to him and then move toward those things. So it's just freaking tragic, that a substance could result in, I mean, because he probably loved his daughter. He probably loved her with all his heart, and he took a substance, totally took, I mean, he could have had other things going on too, but that someone could do something like that to the most important person in their life should tell us a lot about addiction and substances and how dangerous
Yeah.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, man. And I thought about this as well. First of all, the driving to do two different like convenience stores and stealing beers and chugging the beers tells you everything you need to know about where he was in his addiction. Would not be surprised if at home he had liquor hidden.
Yeah.
So we don't know how drunk he was.
Yeah.
We don't know how drunk he was at the point that Erica came home, and how normalized it was for her to see him drunk,
Yeah.
and stuff, like, especially when somebody is such an alcoholic that behaviors that would seem shocking and horrifying to anyone else, even though she was aware that he had a problem, she pushing it aside, clearly pushing it aside, because she never got him into rehab. I know it's not her fucking job, but you know what? She hitched herself to him. She has stood by him. She stood by him after Parker. You know, a full year later, she was standing by his side.
Yeah.
And insisting he made a mistake. And I don't know how much of that was also her trying to absolve herself by saying it was an accident. It was an accident. I believe it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think he intentionally killed her. I think he's fully responsible. And I think they're both responsible in this because he had a problem that needed to be addressed. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to do it. She, in choosing to stay married to him, was enabling him, recognizing that when somebody's driving 138 miles an hour with children in the car drunk, they need rehab. They
And
need
they're
rehab.
minimizing it. Like if you're minimizing it, yeah, they do, yeah, right. He did need rehab, but like or get a nanny. I mean, all these things are. This is the part that is like so gets me. It's like it took me one time a whole full year to recognize that a person I was dating was an alcoholic.
Right.
Like, that's the thickness of this programming. I've since then I think about it in a totally different way, but like you look around the environment, right? And like things jump out at you as like a danger cue, right? Like so for whatever reason, even his protests about like changing his behavior, his excuse making, his dragging his heels or whatever, that didn't arouse anything in her to take bigger action. I'm sure she really regrets it. I mean, I don't think she's culpable. I don't know if they could find her culpable because of the laws there, and it would set a very dangerous precedent to make a spouse responsible for another spouse's behavior. But yeah, it's like, what do you do about that? What do you do with that when you have a couple and her inaction? Like, should she be punished for her inaction, I guess is the question, because there's like on the forums online, people are like coming after her. They want her head.
They want her to lose her license to practice medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Erica Scholtes should lose her license to practice medicine. She, in terms of work, in terms of her career, in terms of her job, if she has been doing a great job this whole time and is a great anesthesiologist, she shouldn't lose her job. This has nothing to do with her job. That's my opinion. That doesn't mean that I think that she shouldn't be responsible in some way. And if that means having a social worker assigned to her family for the next year or so where she has to do regular check-ins, I
Yeah.
think that that's something where she has to do some sort of probationary thing.
So here's the bind that people are in when they have a partner who won't get treatment. And I mean, it could have been resolved, I think, with childcare. But I'm thinking about like, what do you do when you have a partner who won't change? I wonder if this happened all quickly or if this was a slow thing over time for them. I guess that's the question. Is we just have so little information about her past and what could have contributed to her inaction. But the bind is like if you divorce someone, right, who's either abusive or has a problem with addiction, especially alcohol, because that is the bias again, right? So let's say you get a divorce from someone. Now you're faced with the possibility of you not even being able to monitor the time they have with their kids, right?
Mhm.
If you can't prove that he has a problem with alcohol, a court could award 50-50 custody and it could be even worse for the kids. And I think things take time to, I don't know. Sometimes it's like this was the rock bottom moment. It's like this was rock bottom. This is what it took. And that's too bad. To me, I'm just struck with just the tragedy of the whole thing. It's just such a mess and such a nightmare. And I'm sure she wishes that she would have done something sooner. That's impossible because she doesn't have a time machine. Let this be let everyone learn from this experience so you don't have to experience it on your own. I just feel terrible for her because I'm sure she's kicking herself, right?
I hope so. I mean, I know that that's a terrible thing to say, but I
Yeah.
hope so. There's
Hmm.
a lot that gives me pause with her. Again, going on very little information. I was digging. I was trying to find anything about her just even friends coming forward saying she's great, she's, this, whatever. Like when we did the Kasanoff case, there was plenty of information about friends
Mhm.
talking about Catherine Kasanoff, also people speaking. Like there was some information for and against, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's just nothing except that she was an anesthesiologist and made a good living and married to this guy and had kids and was accused of at the very least child neglect, I want to
Yeah.
say, by the 17-year-old stepchild. So we don't know what the case against Erica was with that, unless it's just a situation where they're tied together. Like financially, guess where the money's going to come from? It's going to come from Erica Scholtes. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why she's named in the suit, because obviously all the money is going to have to come from her in this lawsuit.
Yeah.
The thing that gives me some pause with Erica is that she's just never around, to the point where neighbors, people in the neighborhood, no one ever saw her. She was never there. I don't think she was. The impression I am having, I'm given
Mhm.
with the information we have, is that she was not a present parent,
Mm.
which happens all the time when you have a parent that's a doctor, a
Mhm.
lawyer. There was this one friend, Adam had a little friend in preschool, and the mom was a lawyer, and she ended up quitting the following year, I want to say, or 2 years later. She ended up quitting, and she's like, I never got to see my kid. She said, I would see him first thing in the morning before he left for school and I left for work, and he was already in bed by the time I got home. I had to retire because I never got to see him.
Mm.
And so that happens.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
certainly for a doctor, I'm sure that happens as well. And so she's never around for whatever reason. I don't know if she was a very detached parent.
Mm.
The text was weird after Parker died, after the
Mm.
2-year-old died. The text exchange between Christopher and Erica was so bizarre. I'm going to share it here. So on the way to the hospital, I think Erica was riding in the ambulance with Parker. She texts her husband and says, I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you? She wrote. Scholtes replied, Babe, I'm sorry. And then Erica writes, We've lost her. She was perfect. Christopher replies, Babe, our family, how could I do this? I killed our baby. This can't be real. Some of the worst dialogue I've ever seen. And I know I said this earlier. I've read porn scripts that are better than that. Like, come on.
Babe.
Babe, this can't be real. It's so sterile. Like,
Claire, my legs are broke.
Claire, my legs are broke. We're referencing The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
He was a cuck too. Ken the
Oh,
Rocks the Cradle guy. Yeah.
he was such a goof. That was such weird casting. That was such bizarre casting. But anyway, so that text is so strange. The part that I can't get over is Erica texting, we lost her. She was perfect.
Mm.
God forbid any of us ever end up in a situation like that. But I don't know why.
Oh, doctor. That's why. That's a doctor
Ah,
thing to say. We lost her.
right, right.
Right?
Yes, that's a very
Okay.
doctorly thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
She was perfect
Yeah, that's
it's an odd thing to say.
not. I loved her so much.
Yeah. I don't know what I don't know what to do. I loved her. She didn't deserve this. I don't know
Or you
something.
fucking killed our kid, asshole.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
I mean, wouldn't you
Yeah.
be angry too? I guess I would be more. I go to anger, like I go to fight. I might. And I don't know if you lose touch with that when you're in such intense grief. But you're right though. Like she was perfect is very different from I loved her so much. She meant so much to me. How could this? It's very like the Peloton.
It's like the Peloton. It's like it's like the $2 million house. That's where I don't know that she had a relationship with her children. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's neglect was a big thing. You
Mhm.
know, the girls were all neglected. Uh, Again, I'm just speculating. All of this is speculation. She probably didn't have as much of a relationship with her daughters if and I don't know what her work schedule was like. I don't know with anesthesiologists what it is, especially if she's working just generally, if she's
Yeah, with
I don't
managed
know.
care, I think managed care, this is what I've learned from people I know, that it can be very different. She was coming home at 4, so it's different for a surgeon maybe because you
Sure.
get call but anesthesiology, I'm guessing they don't have, like, an abundance of them. I'm guessing they have a few, right? And they have to show up for surgeries.
And they
So
have to be there throughout the surgery.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine she was on call quite a bit. And when on your days off, you can get called in. And there's a real pressure to show up, especially if there aren't that many of you. So I'm guessing,
And she's supporting a lot of people. I mean, she's
yeah.
supporting three children and a husband.
Mhm.
And I have no idea what their financial situation was like. I have no idea if they were carrying a lot of debt, if she was under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things I don't know with this. And her rush to protect her husband was interesting too. And I know that that is what has a lot of people really pissed off is
Mhm.
that she immediately was to the point where she was having her other daughters lie to law enforcement and say, this was an accident. He didn't mean to do it. He didn't
Mm.
know until I think one of the girls broke and was like, Daddy drinks too much. And so that's why he leaves us in the car. Like, mommy's mad because daddy drinks too much.
Go little scapegoat, go. She was probably the
Yeah.
scapegoat, yeah.
Right.
So I'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. She's the, I don't know if it was the middle child or the older child that said it. But also, I could understand the mother just not wanting to alarm the daughters and saying, Daddy made an accident. It was an accident, you know?
Ugh, I know, it's so interesting how the agency piece gets removed. Like, you're obliterating your agency when you're drinking like that, but, like, that I'm just trying to put myself in the position of if this happened to me, would I align with my husband? And okay, so let's use my dog as an example because I don't have kids. I never put Ginger in the hot car. I freak out when I see people leaving their dogs in their cars in the Bay Area because it seems breezy and cool. But if it's like 70 degrees outside, your car can get super hot and your dog could die. It
Right.
has to be like really cold to leave them in the car or
Hmm.
cool. I leave her only for short bits, and I sometimes go to this Knob Hill, which is like Rayleigh's or whatever. It's like kind of close to our house. It's where we get our bubbly water. It's where we get our cheap cold brew. It's always a shit show at the registers. And I'm like waiting and I'm like freaking out and having anxiety because Ginger's in the car and it's like 10 minutes. I just can't imagine living in Arizona and leaving any living creature in my car. That is I'm way too risk averse. And like, why? How could you even think that that would be okay ever? Like, things malfunction, air conditioners malfunction. First of all, like people like that used to die and their offspring would die. Now we don't have as many like people can survive in our culture with having very little anxiety. Little appropriate anxiety. They can still live and they're everywhere. They're driving down the street at 60 miles an hour. They're like, you know what I mean? They just don't think or they don't scan the environment and think this bad thing could happen. I feel like he might have been like that. Like somebody who's just a
Yeah.
little bit yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a complete an addict who is just looking for his fix, right? There's that scene in, is it Permanent Midnight? Remember Permanent Midnight?
I've never seen it.
Okay, so Permanent Midnight, it's actually a really good movie. It's autobiographical by the guy that made the show Alf, the writer.
Oh,
He wrote
okay.
the show Alf, and it's his story. I forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but Ben Stiller plays him.
Mhm.
Jerry, his name is Jerry something. Total crackhead.
Mhm.
And I want to say that he had his baby daughter because it was like he was divorced or something. And it's a thing where he's got her in the backseat of his car. He's driving around trying to get his fix. And it's all just the fucked up shit that happens. But I
Mhm.
remember, gosh, I hope I'm remembering this correctly. But it it's a case of an addict trying desperately to get their fix. And that is that single-mindedness,
Yes. It's like a zombie. It's like total lizard brain.
Right. Elizabeth Wurtzel, the late Elizabeth Wurtzel, wrote a book called about her addiction. And she talks about how life is so simplified when all you have to think about is just getting high. That's all you have to do. You wake up in the morning and it's about getting high. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Now here you are and you're a dad.
You could say that about parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he could have made that his
Well, I mean, but come on.
right, I know.
He had
Yeah,
a cocaine problem, but I think
yeah.
before he was ever a dad, I think.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
now he's moved on to alcohol, and it's about just getting in. And he probably is like, it's just going to take me a minute. He doesn't want to bring the girl in because how's he going to get the 3 beers and then walk into the bathroom with the 2-year-old who may or may not be daddy, daddy, blah, 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 calling attention to him. So he's going to go in there. He can't leave her at home by herself, even though that probably would have been the safest thing, is to just like put her in her fucking crib. And, you know,
Right, yes.
probably would have been safer for her because the hot car.
Mhm.
But, he goes in, he reasons with himself. It's just going to take me a minute. I'm just going to go get some beers. I need to take the edge off. I don't know how bad his alcoholism is. Like maybe it's the thing where he's going to get the fucking DTs or whatever if he doesn't, you know. And then he goes to the next place and he does it. And then he goes home and who knows? I'm convinced he probably had liquor bottles hidden around the house.
I mean, okay, maybe there was some surveillance going on of him that we don't know about because he could have just gotten Instacart and like buried the beer in the, like within the grocery list. I mean, is she going through line item by line item and
Who
checking?
knows? I
Right.
have no idea if she was a
Yeah.
control freak. I mean,
Yeah.
she was a doctor, so she clearly had some attention to detail stuff,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mhm.
Maybe that was her way. Maybe that is why she was monitoring what he was spending money on. Maybe
Maybe.
that was the way that she was justifying to herself that it was okay to leave the kids alone with him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
well, he's not
maybe.
drinking. It could be. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's silly because it ain't that hard. If you want to get high, you will get high. You will
Yeah.
fucking find a way to get high. That is the way it goes. But it's so interesting, with my newfound Christianity. Now, I've a little over a year now on my faith journey, and I approach these cases that we cover. And my initial thing, and I think I sent you, like, I was like, fuck him, piece of shit. I was like, Christopher Scholtes, have fun in hell. I bet it's really hot in hell, just like it was hot in the car for your child, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh. And I try to find compassion, right? I try.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I always go back to in the New Testament when Jesus is telling one of his apostles, when you find somebody who's hurting, when you find somebody who's done terrible things, all of that, you have to remember that they were created by God, right? We were all
Mhm.
created by God.
Mhm.
And I look at somebody like Christopher Scholtes, and sure, maybe he's a horrible human being, piece of shit, who intentionally killed his daughter, intentionally did all of these things. Sure. Or maybe he is a deeply fucking broken addict who didn't kill himself right away because I don't know. It's not that easy to take your own life, right? It's not
No.
that easy. Maybe maybe it was a year of beating himself up until he finally took his own life. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I have been a cocaine addict. I cannot imagine if I had been a mother during that time. I
Mhm.
cannot. I don't even want to fucking. I was driving home after dropping the kids off at school, and I was thinking about this case, and I was thinking about myself because again, it's like when I'm tempted to sit here and just look and judge other people, I have to think about times that I've been. Let's be honest, with my line of work, I do receive a shit ton of judgment, but when I want to sit here and look and pass judgment on other people, I have to remember I'm like I mean technically I am an addict. You don't stop being an addict because you stop using drugs. That's dangerous. It's dangerous when you think you've fucking cured yourself. I'm not. So I think about fucking A, dude. Or the character from Permanent Midnight, based on a true
Mhm.
story about him
Yeah.
like trying to go score crack, and he's got a baby in a car seat in the back of his car.
And something could have happened and it didn't, thank God. Right?
Nothing happened, but if it had,
Yep.
the way people would have looked at him, like
Yep.
he has the luxury of coming out the other side of that and saying, I did this really fucked up thing, I'm ashamed of. Or the author of that book that you were
Yeah.
describing, who
Oh
left her
God,
daughter
Laura
alone.
McCowan. And she's amazing. Yeah. So like it's so for me, I just feel like alcohol distorts a person and drugs, any addiction. And what you're saying is really true. Like I hear these people in these forums and I can understand the anger. It's that
I
punishment thing.
get it. I
It's a
absolutely
dopamine
get it.
hit, right? It's like
Yeah.
dopamine, punish, 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 punish. Like enforce our values, our social, like, and there's something like very addictive and alluring about that,
Yes.
and it's harder to say, you know what, that person's just like me. Like anybody with enough exposure can get addicted to alcohol. It's an addictive substance, and our brains, it's a normative thing for our brains to become addicted to a substance like that. Like it's not the brain, it's not like some personal flaw. There are things that might make you more susceptible to becoming addicted. Things in your history, things in your biology, and it's an addictive substance, and any brain could get addicted to it. It's not like he's different from us in some, very fundamental way. And it's just sad to see. I mean, not that many people recover. And
No,
many, many people do things and say things to people they love that are terribly destructive when they're in the throes of an addiction, and would do things that they would never do if they weren't. Yeah, I don't know. It's awful. So,
it is. And
mhm.
and if any good can come out of this, it's we need to keep talking about addiction. We need to keep talking about how alcohol is the most insidious. It's the most insidious of all the drugs, because we make jokes about it. Like, it's wine o'clock.
Yeah,
We joke about
wine moms.
wine moms, and it's like, that's a problem, dude. I knew a fucking wine mom, and she smelled like booze at school pickup, but she, rich white lady.
Yeah, and that's the part that's hard, and I've been guilty of this before. I remember when I got really skinny one time, after a breakup. And then it wasn't until I got back to a normal weight that people said to me, "I was really worried about you." And I think we sometimes fear approaching someone when we see that they're struggling with a substance because, yeah, usually it doesn't help them stop. Usually they're ashamed, or but it plants a seed. Like I see, and that's the thing that doesn't happen in like alcoholic family systems. Usually, it's like we don't see that. There's nothing to see here, folks. Like what problem, and like the secrecy around it, and but like one way to work with it is to just like notice it and ask someone if they're okay and tell them you notice they're drinking a lot. It might not lead anywhere in the moment. They might get mad at you, but I feel like we have to have a little more courage around this kind of thing because I do think, especially in friend groups, there's a lot you can do if you just sort of express care and concern. You can't change a person.
No.
You can't force them to go to rehab, but you can see the thing they're trying to hide with love, and offer support.
Right.
Mhm.
And we'll never know with Erica what the dynamic was in that household. I just hope that, well, actually, this incident probably saved the other two girls. I mean, their dad is gone, their sister's gone, but shit has to change now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to change now. So this is it's incredibly tragic, but it is a situation where it's hard. It's hard to have compassion around something like this. I mean, compassion for perpetrators,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
for her too, like compassion for her in sort of her trying to manage it and not really seeing like on the I'm sure she did see on the horizon how dangerous it was. I would flip out if Tim told me that he left Ginger in the car, with the ours doesn't have an air conditioner that stays on, but like I would be very upset. And
Yeah,
but
no,
what could
she
I do? Like what could I
yeah.
really do? Could I just like please don't do that again? But then if he wanted to do it again, he could, and I couldn't stop him.
I also think that everything we're doing is speculation right
Yeah, yeah,
now because we
yeah.
simply don't know. I am working under the assumption that like so many upper middle class to wealthy families, they didn't believe that anything really bad could ever happen to them. I see that a
Yes.
lot. It's
Yeah.
nothing bad could possibly happen. Why would anything happen? We're rich. I see that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nothing bad can happen, and then just this illusion of control that she had over being the primary, the sole breadwinner of monitoring spending.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. I think that you're onto something. I think that
Mhm.
you're onto something with him stealing the booze rather than
Mhm.
paying for it because she's tracking spending, and she
Mhm.
perhaps is very controlling about spending. And
Well, she knew he went 138 without him telling her. So she must be monitoring the car.
yeah, they might have she probably has that the car insurance thingy where yeah. So she probably has it's the illusion of control.
Yeah.
I'm monitoring how fast you're going. I'm monitoring your spending.
That breaks my heart.
I'm seeing that you're not spending money on alcohol, so you can't possibly be drinking, right? And you're no longer going 138. Okay, everyone's safe.
And if we have to get a nanny, that's admitting we have a problem.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
If we get a nanny, we have well also what's he gonna fucking do?
Right.
What's his role? What's his role at that point? Just
Right.
playing video games and watching cuck porn? Right?
In his dreams.
Right. In your dreams. Right. So that I think all theories, but I'd
Yes.
like to believe that she thought she was doing something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's the first step, though. Like, usually in our process, when we feel like something's out of control or we have anxiety, we first try to control it. It's too bad she didn't think of or something prevented her from just having that moment of like, nope, you've done it enough times that I am now moving on to this phase two where we actually hire someone to take care of the kids. But maybe she would have gotten there, but this, it's like
All the signs were there. It was one fucking sign after another until it
Mhm.
led to this. Everything was leading to this.
Yeah.
Everything was leading to this. So don't drink and drive, friends. Don't leave your children, pets, or anybody in a hot fucking car. Holy shit. Super, super tragic case. But yeah, Christopher Scholtes killed himself on November 5th. No information now as to what is going on with Erica Scholtes or the girls.
Mhm.
And I have no idea now if the lawsuit is just going to be directed at Erica or if they're dropping it now that the father's dead with the older child.
Some people are speculating that they might do like a civil there might be a way to have some sort of punishment for her, and that might come in the form of like a civil lawsuit, but
Sure.
God, I feel like she's had punishment enough, but that's just me.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Now there's people doxing her, like going after her, like wanting her to lose her license. In which case, like,
Oh,
what's that gonna?
no.
I'm
That
thinking
would
about the
ruin the
girls.
family.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, like, these people casting stones, like, show me your life. Like,
yeah,
let me look in your little closet and see what you have in there. Ooh, I
yeah,
wanna punch these people sometimes. Like,
yeah,
I get it. I get it. But, like, that's also addictive. This, like, like, I'm gonna sit in this thread on Reddit and just like, you just can feel them getting off on, the dopamine.
yeah. Totally. They're just like, oh, this dopamine kick is just so good. Oh, I love judging other people and
There's
feeling perfect.
right.
I'm so perfect. I never do anything wrong ever. It must be nice.
Yeah, really. Oh my.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Send us any episode suggestions you may have.
I just want to say, you guys, it's so helpful to us, really, when you subscribe and like and comment, because we're really trying to grow our community. So if you have, time and you'd like to give us a rating or a review, please do. And please like and subscribe and follow us on all of our channels, please. Por favor.
Please. We love you very much, guys.
We love
have been
you.
enjoying this. We're always trying to make improvements as well.
You guys are so pretty. I think you guys are really pretty.
You guys are really good looking. Just going to say that.
You guys are so nice.
You guys are awesome. You're so awesome. All right, gang. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Ready to love your floors again? At sngcarpet.com, finding the perfect floor is easy. Hundreds of choices in luxury vinyl, carpet, hardwood, and laminate, with flooring experts ready to help you find the right one for your home and your life. From guiding your choice, to moving your furniture, to professional installation and finishing details like baseboards, S&G makes the entire process simple from start to finish. And with our no surprise guarantee, the price we quote is the final price you pay. No hidden fees, no last minute charges, just expert guidance, seamless installation, and floors built for real life. Visit sngcarpet.com or call 866-632-2773 to schedule your free, personalized in-home appointment.
SNG, more than carpet, where quality is affordable.